Hello, my yarn lovers, my fiber artists, my crafty and creative people. Well, a few weeks ago, really, it's probably been maybe like a month ago almost. I don't know. I kind of lost track of time. But, anyways, I made a video and I called it Throwback Thursday, right? Where I was like, are we gonna frog it or finish it? Oh, how did that happen? Why did that come about? Well, because I was wanting to do a sale video for one of our local yarn stores here in Eastern Washington called Paradise Fibers, right? In Spokane, Washington. And I didn't want to just keep showing you some of my, some of the same yarns over and over. I wanted to show you some of the other yarns, and I knew I'd have to do some serious excavating in Yarn Mountain, right? I mean, that's what I call my yarn stash because, let's face it, it's well beyond a stash. It literally does involve climbing, right? Climbing like a mountain, climbing onto a stool to reach the top of my yarn stash. So we just call it Yarn Mountain. And when I need to get in there, I do have to do excavating because unfortunately, I don't have a beautiful yarn wall like so many of our favorite yarn people, right? Crafters on YouTube. I don't. My yarn's all in boxes. So I really do have to excavate and dig and pull and so I was going to the back, to the bottom, where I knew I had stashed some of my purchases from when I very first moved into this house, all the way back in 2016. So 9.5 years ago. And what did I find? I didn't just find some old yarns, some old Cascade yarns, but I also found a couple of old whips. And they weren't just sleeping whips. They were like hibernating whips, probably comatose whips, right? On the verge of extinction, no longer being with us. So I did have to decide, am I going to frog it or finish it? Yeah. Well, one of them was this tank top. And it was so close, I thought, what in the world? Why did I stop with that? Like, it had all the knitting was done. The straps were done. It even has 4 buttons on it, okay? Each of these straps are buttoned on front and back, all right? So I had sewed 4 buttons on to the tank top. And I still was like, why is it not finished? Well, because, I still had ends to weave in, so I thought, okay, I don't like weaving ends, right? Who likes to weave in ends? That's not my favorite thing to do, but you can see the buttons actually come off. These are real functional buttons with buttonholes. I thought that wouldn't be the only reason. Well, it turned out that I had made ribbing at the top and the bottom. Right at the bottom, I put some knit 2 purl 2 ribbing, and at the top, I did some knit 2 purl 2 ribbing. And so I was going through the little project bag, and I did find where the pattern came from. It came from a book called Knitting in the Sun. And this is what the pattern's supposed to look like. This is, I don't think there's anything real sensitive on the front page. Like, obviously, we don't want to give away pattern details, right? Like how many stitches and stuff, but that's what it's supposed to look like. And it turns out it's like this cute little short set and tankini. Well, I never did make the shorts for sure, right? I didn't even finish the top yet. Now, I don't think that I was ever thinking about wearing this as an actual bathing suit, but it could be nice to walk on the beach in. It's very summery tank top. I have well over 20 bikinis that I wear if I go to a beach and swim or something. So I don't think I was actually thinking of swimming in it. But I do live in an area where, we can get to be like 100 degrees for several days in August, triple digits. And I think my thought was that would be a really cute, fun tank top to wear on a hot summer day. And it's pretty cool because it's got she puts the buttons on the straps, and so you can take off all 4 buttons. It could be a strapless tube top. You can do what I have done with it, where you cross your straps in the back and you do a crisscross, or of course you can just wear them as straight tank top straps. So of course I love the flexibility and the fun and all the options with that. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even remember what color this was, okay? Because if you don't know yet, I don't think I introduced myself. Hi, my name's May. I love yarn, I love teddy and crochet, and I also happen to have been born visually impaired. I am completely colorblind. And so I honestly thought this yarn was brown. For real. I was like, oh, maybe it's like brown or coffee or something. Well, turns out I still have the label. It's Cascade Yarns Fixation. On the label, I love Cascade Yarns, right? I live in Washington State. I feel like I should love Cascade Yarns. But it just says color 6185. Not super helpful. However, if you are colorblind or if you're visually impaired and you can't see colors, you can go to, let's see, you can go to the Cascade Yarns website, and they do list, when you look up each yarn, the first thing that they do after you get past the description, right? You get past the fixation yarn is made from cotton and elastic, so it is great for individuals with allergies to wool or fine wool. You get past the yarn description, fixation, period, detail, bullet, all that stuff. You can scroll a little bit and you get to the color card order. Now you have to scroll all the way past that. And then they give you a second listing of fixation colors in numerical order. So you can, I wish they just put them in numerical order, right? That just makes more sense to me. The whole color card order makes no sense to me. I can't find nothing with that. But the numerical order, you can, it'll go through all your colors. And I did swipe through the color 6185. It is the color fuchsia. So I actually did figure out what color this is. The pattern name is called Copacabana. If you're interested in it, that's the book. Excuse me. So I don't think that I was interested in wearing it as a bathing suit, but I was like, that's a cute tank top. So it does have the option for short row shaping for the bust. I don't believe that I did any short rows for the bust. I may have done a little bit of shaping on the side, is what it feels like to me. It feels to me like I did some increases in the sides rather than short rows. So I don't know, honestly, I don't know if she did that in the pattern or not. I can't remember because it was like 9+ years ago since I designed this. And, you know, I've lost more eyesight since then. So, yeah, it's challenging to figure out what I was doing. But I do feel some increases in the sides, but I don't think I put in short rows. But now I believe her intention with the pattern was to do garter stitch, I believe, if I recall. That is one thing I do recall. Garter stitch on the top and the bottom. I went ahead and did ribbing. And I think that the elastic that I found with my project is 3/4 inch elastic. That was too big for the waistband casing. Had I just done ribbing, this is sort of a suggestion. I believe she had you doing garter stitch and then sewing in 1/4 inch bathing suit elastic. Well, I didn't have bathing suit elastic 1/4 inch in the house at that time. And at that time, I did not have the money to buy 1/4 inch elastic. So I think that when I looked at my 3/4 inch elastic, it was just too big. It was just too big to fit into, there it is. There it is. I knew I'd opened some and tried to fit it in there. It was just too big to fit into the casing that I had made. I just knew, as somebody who's visually impaired, by the time I sewed that up, I would probably end up sewing the elastic down to the fabric, right? And then it wouldn't do what elastic is meant to do, right? It would be stuck and be sewed in there. So that's a danger for me if I make my elastic casings too small or too tight, that when I'm sewing the elastic in, I'll end up sewing the elastic down with the fabric, and then it won't actually stretch. So I have to be really careful of that. So my guess is that I didn't have at the time, I probably only had 3/4 inch elastic in the house. That was what I was using in my waistbands and my skirt at that time. And I just didn't have a 1/2 inch elastic or a 1/4 inch elastic, and I could not afford it. That was literally not in the budget for that. I was really struggling to, just buy food at that time. So it got tossed aside. Yeah. So, and then, when I refound it, I was like, oh, I have 1/2 inch elastic. I have a huge roll of 1/2 inch elastic now that I bought on Amazon that I decided was too small for what I wanted. And I've been looking at that huge 1/2 inch roll elastic going, what in the world am I going to do with that? Well, guess what? I had it in the house at the perfect timing for this project. When I unearthed it, I sewed the 1/2 inch elastic into the knit to purl to casing at the bottom, and I put it at the top. Now, I'll be honest with you. If she does the bands in garter stitch, I did mine in rib. If you want to actually swim in this top, I don't know if I would, just, because it's cotton, right? I mean, the reasons why we love cotton in the kitchen for our dishcloths and our towels is because it's super absorbent of water. And there's reasons why today's modern bathing suits aren't really made of cotton, right? They're lycra and they're spandex. And of course, obviously, they give us that nice, sleek, tight fit, right? But it's also because cotton is so absorbent. So, if I were to actually get in the water in this thing, it would get pretty heavy. And, if you were to swim in it, if you've ever gotten in the water in a cotton t-shirt, sometimes it can kind of fill with water and puff up and stuff. So you probably would definitely want to sew in some elastic. Keep it nice and tight around your body and help it stay, hugged to your body. But if you just want it for a tank top, if you put the ribbing, if you rib it at the bottom like I did, I don't actually think the elastic was necessary. I really don't. So that would be the decision that you'd have to make if you want to make this pattern. If you're like, yeah, I actually want to swim in it, then yeah, you probably want to put ribbing in, and you probably want to put elastic in so that it stays close to your body, so it doesn't fill with water, it doesn't balloon out anywhere, and do things that you don't want it to do. Expose anything that you don't want exposed. But if you want to wear it just like a tank top like I did, I think I could have just put the ribbing in and not sewn the elastic in. And once I figured that out, I almost did it, but I'd already made the casing. If you don't know yet, on my channel, I love to design skirts. I love to knit skirts. I have a couple of different tutorials on skirt design, on working the waistband, how to actually make a tactile ridge that you can feel, right? Because I'm visually impaired, and so I knit and crochet by feel, I sew by feel. So for me to sew, even try to get a straight line on the edge of something, I have got to put in a tactile ridge. I've got to put in a folding round, right? So when I do a ribbing, it's like knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, and I do that for however the width that I want it, and then I have to do the opposite. So I would do purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2 for one row, and then go back to knit 2, purl 2 for the same amount of rows. And so I create a casing. You can watch at least a couple of in detailed videos where I demonstrate that and explain that. So I'd already done that on the top and the bottom of this shirt, right? I got it on the bottom and I did it on the top. So excuse me. So, because I'd already done my turning round, it would have looked kind of silly, right? If I'd left it without the elastic sewn in it. I mean, it wasn't super visible, but you could feel it, and I'm sure that if you could see, you could see it. So I thought, given that I've already put that little ridge in there. I might as well sew in the elastic. So that's what I did. And so beyond trimming the ends, right, and beyond sewing in the elastic, I can officially say that I chose, right, in my frog it or finish it video, I chose to finish a 9+ year old project. I did. I now have an adorable, cute, fun, handmade summer like casual wear tank top, crisscross straps, all that. And I did it, and I have tried it on. I have, and it still fits. It's, in fact, it's a little bit big. It's a little bit loose. It's, So I did make this, 9+ years ago. So my knitting skills they were not then what they are now. Of course, there's probably things I would have done differently had I had the knowledge, then that I do now. But hey, it's kind of fun. It really was kind of fun for me to go back and see this and be like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? Okay. Would I have done it differently? Yeah, I would have. But hey, it's fun to learn. It's fun to go back and visit a project, and it's super. I feel really, really good that I was like, yeah, that thing's going to get finished, and it fits. I can still wear it. 9 years ago, I can still wear it. So I'm loving that, my friends. So let me know in the comment section. Do you have the book Knitting in the Sun? Have you made it? Have you worked with the cascade fixation? Do you like the elastic? What do you think of the whole hand knit, hand crocheted bathing suit idea? I mean, I suppose you could wear them in the water. I don't know if I'm brave enough to do that yet, but it will be fun to wear in the summer. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know about some of your old whips, right? How old are your old whips? Do you got some sleeping whips? Do you got some hibernating whips? Do you got some old things stuck in bins and boxes that are like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old that just need some finishing touches? They just need you to excavate them and dig them out, get a little love. This one didn't take me that long at all to finish. It was just a couple of hours of sewing in that elastic. It wasn't a big deal. Yeah, and I have a new summer shirt to wear. So I definitely want to encourage you to go through the stash, go through the old boxes, go through the old bins, dig out those old projects, and at least make a decision, right? Frog it or finish it. Because if you finish it, then you have something to wear, and you have a FO, a finished object, right? And guess what? If you don't, then you can frog it. You can reclaim that yarn, which is sometimes also exciting. And then you can make something brand new, right? If it's like 9 years old, that's not going to fit me anymore, right? Because that could happen. That could happen. Then you could be like, you know what, though? I still really love that yarn, right? And so, if you bought the yarn, you probably love the yarn. So you can still make something fun, make something new, get a fresh idea with that yarn. But don't let them languish in sort of that, like, state of like comatose, right? Where it's like not finished, not worn, but also not being reused, because for sure we can get other ideas. I know that I have bought yarn with the intention of making one thing with it, and then guess what? 5 years later, 8 years later, I'm like, but what if I did that with it instead? Right? We can get better ideas. We can find more patterns. We can develop our skills. Maybe it's yarn that we bought for a project and now our skills are way better. So we can do something totally new and different with that yarn. So my friends, go through your stash. Make some decisions, right? Frog it or finish it. Don't be afraid to frog, rip it out, change your mind. But don't be afraid to finish those old projects. It feels so good. Yeah. It does. I'm just here to tell you. So anyways, all right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Let me know what's on your needles, what's on your hooks, what are you whipping up? And you know what I like to end with? Creativity is for everybody, right? It's for everybody. It doesn't just belong to one group of people, a select group of people. No, it's for everybody. So whether you see or you see like me, which is not in color, not in the day, or you don't see at all. Creativity is for you. And whether it's knitting or crocheting or sewing or quilting or weaving or beading or painting or sculpting or whatever it is that you do, today is a great day to craft and create. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you to all my returning viewers who keep coming back. And also, thank you to all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much. And until next time, my friends, happy stitching. Bye-bye for now.